Good morning. So about 3 weeks ago, I ended up buying this rear end. I did not think it was a Dana 70, but the guy swore up and down it was a Dana 70. I haven't messed around with the 60s or the 70s much, so I took it as the price was right, regardless of what it was. It came with the springs, which I've already removed. Anyway, I started looking for the build-out material number, and I just flat could not read it. Very poorly stamped from the factory. So the best guess on the numbers that I could read, I put it together as a 603648-1. And I looked it up and it said it was a 410 ratio axle, Dana 60. Well, that coincides with the tag on it. Says it's a 410. One of the ways you can tell a Dana 70 from a Dana 60 is by the ring gear dimensions. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the cover off. This cover looks like it is not a Dana 70 cover. That is what gave it away to me when I was looking at it when I bought it. There's no other tag on here indicating that it does not have any kind of positive traction device in it. There's no stamps on the housing, which a lot of people claim there always is, and I hate to tell them, but that's not the case. So I'm going to pop the cover off and check it out inside. Be right back. By the way, I looked it up, that number up, and it comes out saying that it was a 1976 to a 1978 Dodge CB300 or MB300 van or motorhome. So it's leading me to believe that the number that I identified for the MOB is correct, but BOM, I should say, build out material list. So we'll see. There's a few other things I can check to verify that too. The owner did say that it came out of a van, so we're narrowing it down. Get a screwdriver real quick. too bad inside. That's a plus. Okay, there's all the numbers on the ring gear. Definitely a 410. It's got a 4110 ratio. It's got the Dana part number on it, which will also help me verify things. Ooh, still got oil in it. I don't see any water in the oil. That's good. Bearings feel good when I rotate it. That kind of freaked me out at first. It's not a 511. The date code on it is 6/24/1976. So I was right with the number that I looked up. I think I got the number right. I don't think there's anything that tells me otherwise. But I'll look up the number for the gear. It's definitely a 9 3/4 inch gear. No other numbers on it. So, and no tag saying it's a positive lock or anything like that, or any kind of so it's just an open case type differential, no locking mechanism at all, which is kind of a bummer. I was hoping there would be. That you never know. If people that work on them would leave the tags on them, then you'd know for sure. And I have a feeling this one has never been worked on other than oil change. And everything feels real good on it, so may not have to do much to it. Put a locker in it, and away it goes. I don't know what I'm going to do with it though, so if anybody's looking for a Dana 60 dually, this one will probably become available after I get done messing around with it. So I'm going to go look up the Dana numbers. Okay, without a doubt, after looking up the ring gear part number, it is definitely a Dana 60. There's no question about it. So, take off one of the I ran off with my impact wrench. Sometimes these things are a booger to get out. Anybody has a better way of getting those out, let me know. Let's see, there's supposed to be a 30 spline. And I can tell you right now, it is a 30 spline. Splines look really good. None of them are damaged. So that's good. I wonder if there's a part number on this anywhere. Oh, by the way, I looked for my spindle nut socket. Can't find it anywhere. I looked for an hour. So it looks like I will be going to somewhere to buy a spindle nut socket. But I gotta tell you right now, everything feels really good in this. Bearings feel good. Everything. See, these don't want to come out very easy. Okay, once again, my GoPro quit working. I tell you, if you're thinking about getting into doing any kind of videos and you live in the desert, don't buy a GoPro because they're crap. Anybody that design a camera that won't work when it's 98 degrees out needs to go back to engineering school. There they all go. I'm not much into using junk, so GoPro, I won't buy another one, that's for sure. Yeah, 30 spline. Looks pretty good. I have no complaints. Wished it was a 35 spline. If I buy a locker, I'll see how much I can get the axles for and maybe bump it up to a 35 spline. Well, I'm gonna go have to find a socket. Okay, I don't know if you can see this or not. You can see where somebody's taken the chisel and hammered on the nut. This nut has also been chiseled. But not as bad as that other one on the other side. Don't know why people work like that. Socket isn't that expensive. Good morning. It's the next day. Not any of the auto stores in town had the socket that I needed, which ends up being a 2 9/16 inch socket. So I ordered it from Napa, and it should be here this morning sometime. We had a power outage last night and it's still out. APS claims that they estimate restore will be about 10 a.m. It is currently a little bit after 6 a.m. and so I'm out here trying to figure out what I want to do. I don't want to pull this carrier out yet because I'm thinking about the kind of locker I want for it, or if I'm even going to put a locker in. I will clean it up and see how all that works. So I have these two axles that I can put in my acid bath and let them soak. A lot of people use oven cleaner, and what I do is I fill a bucket up about halfway with water and then I add lye to it. And you can just buy the lye in the plumbing department usually for cleaning drains. But that'll sit in there and the lye will do the work at removing the grease and Also helps with surface rust. So that'll work fine. So I'll let them soak in there for about 4 hours. It's not like they have anything better to do. And I'll take the nuts off as well. One thing you don't want to do with lye is put anything with aluminum in it, like this tag. I think that's aluminum. No, that's steel. Anyway, I'll drop those in it as well. You don't want to get this stuff on your hands. I have a little hook that I will put in there, and it can sit in there and soak. So I went over to YouTube University this morning, being how I woke up at about 1 o'clock because of the power outage, and watched a bunch of videos on the Spartan locker and other brands, the Torque locker and a couple other brands, installing those. Never used one of those. It looks interesting. So the jury's out on how much I want to spend on this little project that I probably will never use. Pass it on to somebody else. So I'm still debating what I want to do there. But anyway, so I got those parts soaking, and they'll soak for most of the day, and I'll have to run into town to Napa and get my nut. So I'll be back then. I mean my socket. I'll be back then. Our power finally came back on. I went to Napa to pick up my socket, and because the power was down, they couldn't do anything in their computers to even look at my order, and they obviously didn't have it. So my wife was heading for Havasu, so I had her stop by Harbor Freight, and she picked me up this thing right here. Being how I can't find any of my sockets. The nut's a hex. This is a 2.5 6-point. That looks like it's going to fit, and guess what? It does. So that's the socket, 2.5 hex 6-point. See if I can pop this off. Easy enough. keeper was not folded over, so it's just kind of in there. Looks like it had broke the one of the tabs on the keeper, which that's not good. Well, I think I'm going to continue this in the morning. This thing's hotter than I like to play with stuff. It may take some doing getting this thing off too. So, good morning project. Well, I decided to put some gloves on and see if I can get this thing apart easy enough. Bearing feels pretty good. Yeah, it doesn't look like the seal was leaking. The drum doesn't look bad either. Let's see what the race looks like. Race will be a tell-all. No, the race looks good. Now I'll get this inside on a bench. Well, the spindle looks pretty good. No grooves in the seal surface. It actually looks like maybe a bearing spun at one time. Not bad though, it doesn't catch my fingernail. So I walked into the garage to get my little roll around bench so I can get in the shade. I heard a noise in the garage earlier and got the feeling something was in there. Sure enough, I opened up the garage door and a giant yellow cat jumped out of the rafters, landed on the wash machine, and took off like grease lightning. I almost died. Anyway, it's in the garage now. I was hoping to see a seal number on this before I destroyed it. Nothing on the surface. It may be on the other side or on the edge of it. I will be replacing the seal, so I don't care if I ruin it. No number on the edge. Oh, here's some numbers. All right, that's what I wanted. $20033 USA. All right, that's what I needed for the number. Bearing feels really well. I think I'm going to be okay with the bearing. Yeah, race looks good. Just looking at this stuff, I'd have to say this was a good rear end. Whatever happened to the van it came out of. The frame on the van that I saw did not look damaged in any way, so I don't know if it had a blown up motor in it or a bad tranny or what, but when they took the rear end out for me, they basically cut the frame, and they were going to use part of the frame for a bench that the fellow wanted to build, so they kept that part and they just gave me the leaf springs and the rear end as an assembly. But there was no damage that I could see on the front end or anything, so yeah, I think this is going to be a good rear end. I got the bearings cleaned up. They look good. They feel good. I'm going to use them. Clean this up a little bit. A lot of the tabs were cracked to where if you bent them over one more time they'd break, so I took them off. But it still has enough tabs to do its job. The inside nut looks okay. The outside nut, somebody's really hammered on that. They obviously did not have the right socket for that. And clean that up a little bit. I think I'll take it down and have the drum turned maybe next week before I put it all back together. The brakes Actually had a lot of material left on them. Here's the axles. Got them out of the lye soak. Anyway, the brakes were broken. You can see that right there. But they had a lot of material on them. So I have a feeling this thing had a recent brake job. It's dirty, but yeah, lots of material. Spindle looks good. Fun and games. The more I look into this axle, the more I'm determining it is a Dana 60 HD. But I think I'm gonna, still thinking about these drums. If I am going to rebuild this, to build this axle, I want disc brakes. So I'm not sure I want to put the drums back on it. Not only that, is they are heavy. So regardless, I'm gonna take the drums off and probably get them turned next week, and at least have them ready. Maybe somebody can use them. I had one bad wheel stud. I think this one is it. Probably have to replace it. No biggie. Okay. dirt in there. Well, looks like I have some more cleaning to do. Well, I'll get to that. Luckily, I had a, what is it, 5/8 18 die, so I can fix this stud. Right on the end of the stud, the threads are a little boogered. I might have done some of that when I was pounding them out. That's why I always try to screw a nut on them. I am cleaning up some material here. So that's good. Good sign. Saved me from running into town just for a stud. Yeah, right in there is a little rough. Let's see, this was the same one I used to pound with. Oh, just like brand new. I might go ahead and do them all while I'm at it. Went ahead and decided to clean up the lug nuts as well. If I quit dropping things. They're all a little bit rough, but they'll last another 100 years. %90 of rebuilding something is cleaning and measuring and repairing. So this part's done. They're all working good. I still need to pick up some lug nuts. I didn't get all of them when I Okay, now the fun part of taking the drum off. I won't bore you with that.
This drum was way easier to get off. I didn't have to beat on it, but a few beats and it came right off. Would like to hear how you guys get your hubs and drums separated. It's the way I do it. I could do it on my press, but I have a 3-ton arbor press that would do this nicely, but it just doesn't fit on it. And I've never made any kind of adapter to support the drums. So I do it caveman style, and it works. One more. This one's gonna fight me. Okay. And there it is. "200 years of dirt." Although I have a feeling it's had a brake job before. These drums don't look too bad. This one actually has more wear than the other one does. See if I can get this out. I probably should have taken the seal out prior to. I'm not gonna behave today. Yeah, I probably should have done this prior to. Now let me get it in the vise so I have some grip. Well, if anybody can destroy a seal, it's me. That's doing good. I don't know if it's coming out or not. There it comes. A little bit of friendly persuasion. Dang, almost lost the bearing. Bearing feels real good. I realized last night I don't have a seal press that big either. I'm doing real good on tools for this thing, so I'll have to dig one of those up. Oh yeah, race looks good. I think that damn near looks new. That's good. Good to see. The other one, what's it look like? Yeah, that looks good too. I think I lucked out with the bearings. That would definitely be an expense on the refurnishing of this thing. Yeah, it looks clean inside. This one almost looks like new. I don't have any history on it, so who knows? It could be new, newish. We'll see. I cleaned up the bearings. They look pretty good. This hub on the outside is pretty dirty, so I'm just gonna let it soak in the tank for a little while and then wire brush it off. And I think I'm done for the day. Go do something that's in the cool weather.